It's great to see so many young people here, the enthusiasm, and we're particularly pleased that we've a backdrop of increased entries. And in the current climate, I think that's very important and very encouraging. The subjects that are being focused upon here are what we call STEM, that's science, technology, engineering and mathematics. Now, there has been over the years some resistance from young people to actually getting involved in those subjects, and for some time the number of pupils participating in those subjects has dropped because they're deemed to be difficult subjects. Now, having said that, the fact is that when you see these young people here, the ideas that they're coming up with, they're bursting with ideas. They're enthusiastic, and once they really get into it. Now, the irony is that despite rising unemployment, we have part of our department, a section, is chasing after people outside Northern Ireland to bring them in, because we have shortages in certain skill areas, including the skill areas that are being focused upon today. So it seems to me to make sense for us to encourage more participation in these areas, and I'm currently looking at what we might be doing there as it applies to higher education in particular. I think that whatever the difficulty might be in the economy going forward, everybody says basically for the Western developed economies, going into these areas are the best direction of travel, because we know that the competition, particularly from the Far East, is so strong. I mean, almost the Chinese and Indians between them are producing millions of graduates every year, and of those graduates 30% are in engineering alone. So you don't have to be a rocket scientist to extrapolate that forward a number of years, and you'll see where the centre of gravity will move in the world if we do not concentrate on it here. And I think that while none of us can fully, at this stage, appreciate the full extent of this recession and what has happened, we do know something really dramatic has happened, but perhaps not the full extent of it yet. But what is clear is that the subjects that these young people are working on today, the ideas that they're coming up with, are definitely in the right direction. That's why I'm so keen to be here and so enthusiastic about what's happening here. We have to be guided to a large extent by employers themselves, because governments don't create jobs, businesses create jobs. And we have a number of sector skills councils at home, 25 of them, that represent the different sectors throughout the economy. And then we have workforce development forums where we are able to sit down through the education system with the local employers to get them to tell us what they need. Now, the message that we're getting is they need the skills of the young people that are here today. That's one of the areas where they are all saying they have shortages. Obviously in the ICT area as well. So it seems to me that those are areas that going forward, whatever the circumstances, we will need those particular skills. Naturally, in the current climate, companies, both large and small, are looking at their whole sponsorship arrangements. Now, the situation here is that BT's contribution here is very largely in putting the whole thing together, which means that they have to put a lot of their own staff time into it. So it's more that of a contribution than the actual cash. So to some extent, they get more bang for their buck through that type of arrangement rather than simply throwing large amounts of cash at it. So I would hope, and I would certainly encourage them to stay with this, because it is exactly the sort of thing that we want to do. We have got loads and loads of bright young people throughout the country. Once they're given the opportunity, we can see as here today what they are capable of. And I would have thought it was in BT's long-term interests to have a steady supply of highly qualified labour with some innovative ideas. And it's the ideas that these young people have that will be the jobs of the future. And that's why we're backing research in the universities. That's why we're encouraging. In fact, we will very soon maybe financially have to be putting a carrot in front of young people when they go to university to study these sorts of subjects. And it's for that reason that I think BT's got it right with this particular competition, and I do hope they are able to stay with it. When we reached our political arrangements in 1998, We set out a structure for dealing with the differences between us. And we've always maintained that once you got that off the table and that problem sorted out, there was no longer any obstacle to mutual cooperation. Now, I referred in my previous answer to research. We have announced within the last few months 2 batches of major research and development, which is collaborative research between the universities in Northern Ireland and the universities in the Republic. And I'm hoping that we can do even more in that. This is collaboration for mutual interest and benefit. And it doesn't have a political hang-up for me, because we will cooperate with any schools or with large companies as long as there's a benefit. And that's why I think this is a positive development here. That's why I encourage it, and that's why I hope it continues.